Words of Wisdom is brought to you by Essentia Health and TV3 and LB Video Productions.
I'm Audrey Ronning. I grew up in Audubon and I'm almost 98 years old.
What was life like growing up in Audubon? Did you live on a farm in the city?
Yes, we lived on a farm, and there was 10 of us kids. And when we were young, we had so much fun because we had ponies. We rode ponies all the time. Got mischief once in a while too.
Did you help on the farm?
We helped the mother. We always helped in the garden and helped with dishes and stuff like that. But we didn't have to do it because they always had hired men to do the milking and stuff. So thank heavens I didn't have to do none of that.
How many acres did your dad have?
He had a section of land, that's 640 acres, and he farmed it mostly with horses because we didn't have no tractors then. Hired men and horses.
I can't imagine.
Thinking about it now, it's just crazy.
Did you get to watch him do that?
Oh yeah, we got to go out in the field and we'd carry lunch out to him. I remember one time I carried lunch out to my brother. He was mowing hay. I got lost. That farm was so big, you know. I went over a hill and couldn't see nothing. I was so glad when I saw him then because I thought I was lost.
Where was the farm located?
It was about 5 miles north of Audubon. And at the time it was called the Barney Farm when we got it. And we lived there, I was 17 when I went to St. Louis to work in defense plant, and they were still living there, so they were there 20 years.
So what did you have to go, you went to St. Louis for what?
It was wartime, World War II, and I worked in a defense plant.
What did you do there?
In small arms ammunition. You just run big machines, you just sat there. You usually didn't do much, you just sat there and watched so nothing went wrong. If something went wrong, you called one of the guys, supervisors, and they would come and fix it. But I worked there until it closed, and then I come home.
What was that like?
It was quite an experience, yeah. And they had big parks to go and see and things, a lot of things to do. I saw Roy Rogers and Trigger, and a lot of, Who's Your Hot Shots, and it was fun.
You meet new friends. What was it like living in a different part of the world or part of the country and being away from home? And
oh, it was, it was kind of scary. You're kind of lonesome, but we were so busy because there was a bunch of us girls, and we were always talking and doing something, playing tricks on each other. So we kind of got, it just time went so fast. Not as fast as now, but.
Did you remain friends with any of the girls that you met?
Oh yeah, we made friends with a lot of them, yeah. Because the girl that I went down with, Abby Tigner, she died in here. And we lived with her aunt and uncle, and she had 2 daughters, and then there was some, and we paid rent, we lived there with them. Yeah, it was all right. It was fun. It was a great experience.
So then when you moved back home, what did you do?
Well, it wasn't long until I met my husband and got married. I had 6 beautiful kids. I love my kids more than they mean everything to me. But I lost 4 of them, which I asked God questions many times. But I know they're happy where they are, and I'm happy where I am. So I know we'll be together again. And my 3 grandsons, that I can't describe. They were like my kids. They'd come up there, and the little one, Zachary, I'll never forget the first time he walked. They didn't live too far from our place, and his mother called and said, Zach wants to walk up to see you, Grandma. And I said, okay. So I went out by the garden, and because he'd coming across that field, and all of a sudden I saw this little guy coming, you know, so cute, and here he came, you know, and he hugged me. It was so cute. I never forget those things.
Yeah. How did you handle the tragedy of losing your children and your grandchildren?
Well, I had my faith. That's what brings you through all of it, you know. And I had other children and grandchildren on my side and by my side. And yeah, I just had to keep going, working. I prayed to God a lot. And it's just been, I thank God now. I don't know why I'm living so long, but I thank God that I have it and could live this long, and not be sick or anything. I falling down, couldn't get up. That was my problem when I couldn't get up by myself, and I know I needed help. You know, it just life goes on. And you know, life is kind of what you make it. You gotta be happy. You gotta think positive, because if you don't, it'll drag you down. But I thank God for all my children. I've had a long life, and it's been a lot of sad times, but I've had the good times too, with my kids, my family.
Did you live on a farm then when you were raising?
Yes, I've always lived on a farm. With my folks, and then of course then when I got married, we lived on a farm, and we lived north of Ottawa too, on the farm that the DNR got now, and that was a half a section of land, and then we moved out here 60 years ago. We moved out south of Detroit Lakes, and that's where we lived for 60 years.
On a farm?
On a farm, 80 acres, just a small farm, but it was fun. And now my husband died 17 years ago, and I stayed there. I loved it. I loved the birds and the deer and everything, you know, that come running through your yard. And I had white swans walk right through the yard. It was beautiful. And anyway, then so I stayed there, and I just loved it there on the farm.
Do you have any funny memories of raising your children?
Oh, yeah. My daughter Joyce, she's the one that worked in Nobody's for 40 years, and I don't know, she's so funny. One time she got kind of angry at something. I don't know what she was going to run away. And I said, okay, we're going. So she took her quilt. I made all my kids had their own quilts, and she took her quilt, and she went down by the barn and climbed up the tree. And there she sat for about 15 minutes. She come back. I'll never forget it, because she's so cute.
And did you enjoy sewing?
Huh?
Did you enjoy sewing?
Yes, I sewed. I sewed a lot of their clothes, you know, because we didn't have much those days. Yet we had everything. We had love and togetherness and all that, but we didn't have much money. But you know, those days you could buy a sack of groceries for $1. Now you can't buy a candy bar for $1. It's really changed. It's really, I've saw a lot of changes in my life. When the first TVs come out, it was so funny. My dad used to go to Ottawa to watch TV. Before we got one out in the country, he would go to Ottawa, and they had wrestling on. And I think it was Ganya was wrestling, and Papa, he fainted. They told about him fainting because, you know, he couldn't stand it.
What are some other changes that you've seen, experienced?
Well, I remember when Papa got the new car, and of course I was about 14 then, and he thought I could drive it probably. So he told me they were thrashing, and my dad was an engineer. He would run the thrashing crew. And when that thrashing crew would come home, come to our place, we'd all go outside and look, because here come that big machine and the horses and the wagons, you know, a big deal. And but we just loved it. We just loved it. And Papa told me one day to take the car and take lunch out to the men. No, Papa, I can't drive. Yes, you can. He said, you could learn. Can you imagine? Well, I took the car and I drove under too close to a wagon and I dented the fender, so I didn't have to drive anymore. That was the end of that.
You told him, you warned him.
I did, and he didn't bawl me out either, say a word, but I just didn't drive no more.
What was it like growing up with that many brothers and sisters? Did you have to share a room? Like how?
Oh, no, we had, in the house, there's a big farmhouse. We had 4 bedrooms upstairs. A great big east bedroom, that was the boys' room, and that was this big, the house was so big. That room had 3 double beds in it with plenty of room. I remember it just clearly. And the men and the farmer and the hired men slept in there. And then we had the north room, that was kind of a storage room until my oldest brother got married. Then they cleaned it out and they had it for their bedroom for a while until they got their own home, you know. And then there was a west room, and that was for us girls, and the south room. Yeah, we all had. And then downstairs in the bedroom, the big bedroom, then there was a bed there for Mama and Papa, and one for the smaller kids. Yeah, we had plenty of room. We never went hungry, never was cold. But we lived a mile from school, and we'd either have to walk, or Papa would sometimes take us with, in the wintertime he'd take us with the sleigh sometimes, you know, on horses. And in the summertime, if we were lucky, in the spring and the fall, our ponies, which we had Dinky, and Daisy, and Queen, and Bozo, if they would we'd get on them, no saddle, no bridle, no nothing, and ride them to school. We'd just pat them on the shoulder, you know, and they would. And then when we got to school, we'd pat them on the butt, and they'd go home. And if we were lucky, they would stop halfway home in the meadow. So when we got that far, we could ride them back the rest of the way. Otherwise, we just walked. But we got a lot of good memories. I have so much fun thinking about it. And I remember that stuff. So they asked me, how do you remember all that stuff? I said, well, I can remember that better than I can yesterday.
Yeah. What are some of your other fond memories of that?
Oh, God. Oh, I could go on and on and on. Oh, I could tell you about my youngest grandson, that Zachary. He, his dad and his other brother, and they were out for a walk in the woods, and they saw so many squirrel. And so his older brother wanted to go hunting squirrels, and of course his dad told him, anything you hunt and shoot, you gotta eat. And they would clean the squirrel and they would eat them. Well, anyway, this little boy, he couldn't go because they told him he couldn't go because he was too small. He was about 4 years old. And so he was sitting on the steps there, and I come outside, he wasn't crying, but he was making noises like he was crying, you know. I said, Zachary, what's the matter with you? He said, I couldn't go with them, I'm mad, I'm crying. Well, I sat down beside him and put my arm around him. I said, Zachary, could you cry? And I said, when I come back, I said, you and I'll go down the woods and we'll cut down a Charlie Brown tree. he got real quiet and he says, Grandma, what's a Charlie Brown tree? And I said, and I told him the story about Charlie Brown. You all know the story about Charlie Brown. And so he smiled and he said, it's all right. You know. So I had to go, and when I come back, lo and behold, here he comes dragging up from the barn, this dry branch. Grandma, here's your Charlie Brown tree. You know, he said, here's your Charlie tree, just your Charlie tree. Oh, I said, just what I wanted, just, and of course, when I put lights on and stuff, it was pretty, and I still got that tree right now. In fact, it's sitting outside of my window here. And I'll never forget that. And then my Caleb, he was a ball player, and he loved the Twins. You know, when the Twins had that habit of kicking in the dirt and spitting and grabbing a crutch on. And so Caleb, they were playing ball outside my picture window with two neighbor boys, and Caleb was doing that, and he was spitting. I said, Gordon, come and look at this. I said, those kids. And he came and he hollered. I said, Caleb, you gotta throw that ball harder. He said, I can't, Grandpa. I ran out of spit. These little kids. I love those boys. And Javis, the oldest one too, he'd always come to my house, and if I would be in the bedroom, sit in front of the mirror, combing my hair, he'd just sit behind me and talk to me, you know. And he said he was just going to get his license where he could drive with a licensed driver. And I said, oh, good. Then you and I can go to Minneapolis and see Carol. Grandma, he said, I will take you any place. I love them to pieces. Oh, it's been a full life, I'll tell you. I've had a full life.
What was Audubon like?
Oh God, that was just, I had a picture at home. I should have a postcard where it was 1918 something. It was, Audubon was just a very small town. But they had free shows. My dad, every Saturday night, we'd go to Audubon to the free shows. And he'd take us every Sunday to Audubon, and we would have an ice cream cone on Sunday afternoons. And yeah, and roller skating. I was a good roller skater when I was. In fact, my husband said that, and he said that before he went in the army, he said he saw me roller skating. He said, someday I'm going to come home and I'm going to marry that girl. He did. That guy. But he was handsome. He was very handsome. We were married just about 60 years when he died.
What is his name?
Gordon Ronning, yeah.
How old were you when you got married?
20. I was old. No. We bought a resort down by Burgess, Minnesota, Hidden Acre Resort on Trowbridge Lake, and I was there for a few years, me and my son Craig.
Audrey, what was the name of the resort that you and your sister bought?
Bucks Mills. Bucks Mills, you girls know where Bucks Mills is? Do you know where Bucks Mills is? It's out by, well, it's not far from here. You know, it's just over here.
I didn't know there was a resort over there.
No, the resort's not there. The resort we owned was down by Burgess on Trowbridge Lake. That was Hidden Acre Resort. We had 500 feet of lake shore. It was nice, beautiful. All the sunsets and sunrises were so beautiful there. I was down there for, must have been 10, 12 years, and then we sold it.
But what was Bucks Mills? Bucks
Mills was, that was a club. It was, we would sell drinks and you'd have dances and parties and stuff, you know, everything like that. That's what that was. And I wasn't in that wrong because my sister then, she decided they could take over, and they did, and then I bought the other one down at by Burgess.
Now, how was it running a resort?
Yeah, I liked it in a way because some people would come in, we talked about the news and the weather and stuff, and some would talk about interesting people. We had a lot of interesting people that come in and stayed there. And some would come and stay all summer. It was very, very interesting.
Do you know what year those were that you owned it?
Yeah, that was in, we sold it in 92. We sold it in 92, so about in the 70s someplace. Yeah, it was quite an experience, quite an experience, but I liked it. I liked it. Because I could talk to people and a lot of interesting people. We lived on the farm, but it wasn't far from that. See, it wasn't far from, and my husband was retired then. He was foreman of Lakeview Township. He built roads and stuff like that, you know. And then he had a stroke and it took his life away.
Audrey has kind of a famous great nephew. Tell them about Jackson.
Oh, Jackson Core. My brother, who is a Pearl Harbor survivor, his great-grandson, Jackson Core, is in college in Michigan State. He plays basketball for Michigan State on TV all the time. And you look, you'll see Kohler, and I like to see it. He's 6'10", 260 pounds or something, and a big boy. And his sister Kara, Kara, is in the World Olympics. She rose. She was at a swimming class, but then they told her they thought she'd be so good in rowing boats, so they got her in boat rowing, and she weighs 180 pounds and she's 6 feet tall. And she's the first year they brought home the bronze. That's the third. Now that's good, you know. And the next year, last year she got a slow start. If you get a slow start, you're done. But she's going to go back this year. So if you watch the Olympics, you'll see a Kohler, and that's she'd be my great niece. Yeah.
Can you tell us about your brother who was in Pearl Harbor?
Oh yeah, he wanted to go to the service so bad, and he talked my mother into signing for him so he could go when he was 17 years old. He was 17 in January, and in April he joined the Navy, and then he went to Great Lakes for his training, and then he went to San Diego, California. And then from there they sent him to Hawaii. And he was right at the naval station there where the Japanese came and bombed. And he was only 17 yet when they come and bombed on December 7th. I remember that day so well because me and my brothers had gone out to slide down the hill. Those days you made your own fun, you know. We'd go out with our sleighs and slide down the hills and stuff. And that's what we were doing. We come in, I remember Papa met us at the door and he said, Pearl Harbor's been attacked. And of course we knew our brother was there, you know. And we didn't know if anything happened to him or not because it took a long time before we found out that he was all right. But he was there when the first bomb fell. And he got to come home. And I wanted to join the waves. He said, no, sister of mine's going to join. Those days they were against it, you know. But that's why I went to Missouri then. Rick said, yeah, and now he lives in California, and they have him speaking in schools and all kinds of places. They have him speaking now. And if you look on Google or on YouTube, Earl J. Kohler, you'll find him. I'm telling you, he's there. and he said a poem now. He wrote the poem himself, and it just made me choke up almost when I just heard it the other day. He said it for him when he was 100 years old now, and it's just amazing that he could remember that whole thing at 100 years old and not falter once. Yeah, and he's got a family, and he loves it out there. I was out there the last time in 2019, so 5 years ago I was out there. I would like to go back again, but I can't go now. I don't feel like the goods you on the plane and stuff, but it's just would be too hard.
And you have other siblings that are still alive as well, right?
Oh yeah, I have another brother that lives here in town, Dennis. He's 86, and my sister Marlene lives in Ottawa, and she's 91. She'll be 92. And I just lost a brother, Leon, last summer. He had a heart attack, and he was 81. So we lived here quite a while.
What's your maiden name?
Kohler. Yeah, my dad's name was Bill Kohler, or William, and my mother was Ella Kohler, Dizzy. She was a Dizzy. All the Dizzies around here, I'm sure you know some.
What are some words of wisdom you'd like to give to people?
Oh, just keep your faith for sure. That's what you gotta have, that, and be happy. Try to be happy, because if you got your faith and you're happy, you got everything. In here now, I've got a beautiful family. I got beautiful friends. I got a chapel with Chaplain Kurt. I got, look at my friend there. And I got my health. I got everything. Yeah, I couldn't want any more. I would like to live a few more years, because I'd like to stay here, because we're having a ball. It's like a party every day, and I'd like to see my great grandchildren. I have 8 grandchildren, 15 great grandchildren, and 13 a baker's dozen great, and I love every one of them. And Old Crossing is so beautiful. I've got Old Crossing, you know. What else can you ask for?
What do you like to do here? What do you get to do at Old Crossing?
Oh, well, number 1 is bingo. Someone even asked, I bingoed so much for a while that somebody said, how much does it cost you? I said, I'll take cards with anybody. But yeah, and it isn't what we get, it's just that we can bingo. And us girls will say, I'm going to win today, and then we try. I mean, if our number's called, we can bingo, otherwise you can't. But we sure have fun. Oh my! And of course the music and the exercises. They call this a rest home. Yeah, you don't rest. You always doing something. But it's good for you. Time goes so fast.
What is the crown for?
Well, I was the Queen of Old Crossing, and we got to ride in the parade, you know, so I'm Queen for until July again, see, and then someone else too. But I get to keep my crown, and I think it's nice.
Essentia Health, our presenting sponsor, is proud to bring you Words of Wisdom. And TV3 and LB Video Productions.